The rumblings from the paddock have grown into something far more substantial, a genuine power shift in the making. Francesco Bagnaia's decisive move to reshape his inner technical circle ahead of a projected 2027 switch to Aprilia racing is not merely a personnel change, it is a statement of intent. At the heart of this strategic reset lies the appointment of Daniele Romagnoli, a figure whose reputation has quietly but firmly risen through the MotoGP ranks. Known in the paddock as Radar, Romagnoli is widely credited as the technical brain behind Jorge Martin's title-winning campaign in 2024. His arrival alongside Bagnaia signals a deliberate pivot away from continuity and towards reinvention. Bagnaia's split from Cristian Gabarrini closes one of the most successful rider-crew chief partnerships of the modern era. Since stepping into the Premier class in 2019, Bagnaia's development has been inseparable from Gabarini's guidance. Together they evolved from promising contenders into double world champions with Ducati Lenovo Team. Gabarrini himself is no ordinary figure. His resume includes championship-winning collaborations with legends such as Casey Stoner, Marquez, and Jorge Lorenzo. For Bagnaia to walk away from that level of experience underlines just how serious this new chapter is. From an analytical standpoint, this is less about dissatisfaction and more about timing. After a challenging 2025 season and an inconsistent start to 2026, Bagnaia appears to have recognized that incremental tweaks would not be enough. A full reset, technical, psychological, and structural, offers the best chance of regaining a competitive edge. Romagnoli's profile contrasts sharply with Gabarini's. Where Gabarrini is associated with stability and long-term evolution, Romagnoli has built his reputation on adaptability and extracting peak performance under shifting conditions. His work with Martin demonstrated an ability to fine-tune aggression into consistency, arguably the final piece Bagnaia has occasionally lacked under pressure. Crucially, Romagnoli is already embedded within Aprilia's ecosystem, having followed Martin to Noale before the Spaniard's anticipated move to Yamaha factory racing. That continuity could prove invaluable. Rather than starting from zero, Bagnaia will inherit a crew chief who understands the DNA of the RSGP machine. For Aprilia, this is more than a high-profile signing. It is a declaration of war against the established order. The RSGP has shown flashes of brilliance in recent seasons, but consistency and rider leadership have remained question marks. By targeting a proven champion like Bagnaia and pairing him with a title-winning crew chief, the Noale factory is effectively assembling a ready-made championship project. The timing also aligns with the broader structural changes expected under the 2027 to 2031 commercial cycle involving Liberty Media. As MotoGP prepares for a new regulatory and commercial era, teams are positioning themselves early and aggressively. Meanwhile, Ducati's response appears equally strategic. Retaining Gabarrini and pairing him with rising star Pedro Acosta suggests a shift towards the future, rather than dwelling on departures. It is a move that ensures continuity of technical excellence while nurturing the next potential title contender. The broader implication is a reshuffling of the competitive hierarchy. If Bagnaia adapts quickly to the RSGP and Romagnoli successfully translates his methods, Aprilia could transition from an occasional race winner to a consistent title challenger. Conversely, Ducati's ability to remain dominant without Bagnaia will be one of the defining narratives of the late 2020s. Ultimately, this is a high-stakes gamble from Bagnaia, leaving behind a proven environment, a trusted crew chief, and a championship-winning machine is never a safe choice. But MotoGP history often rewards those willing to take calculated risks at precisely the right moment. Should this partnership click, 2027 may not simply mark a new chapter, it could herald the beginning of a completely new era, with Bagnaia once again at its center, this time dressed in Aprilia colors and guided by a man who once stood on the opposite side of the title fight. There is also a deeper psychological layer to this decision. For Francesco Bagnaia, stepping away from a familiar environment is as much about rediscovering instinct as it is about chasing results. In recent seasons, there have been moments where his riding appeared calculated rather than natural, particularly under pressure. A new technical voice in Daniele Romagnoli could unlock a more liberated version of Bagnaia, one that rides on feel rather than formula. From a technical perspective, the switch to the Aprilia Racing RSGP presents a fascinating challenge. The Aprilia machine has traditionally favoured agility and corner speed, contrasting with the brute acceleration and stability long associated with Ducati. This means Bagnaia will need to subtly reshape his riding style, particularly in corner entry and mid-corner phases, where the RSGP thrives. Romagnoli's presence may accelerate that adaptation. His track record suggests a strong ability to tailor bike setup around rider confidence, rather than forcing the rider to conform entirely to the machine. That philosophy could be critical in the early races of 2027, where confidence often dictates competitiveness more than outright pace. Another element worth noting is the internal dynamic within Aprilia. By bringing in a rider of Bagnaia's stature, the team inevitably shifts its centre of gravity. Development priorities, feedback loops, and even team hierarchy will begin to orbit around the Italian. For a factory still building its identity at the very top, this could either unify the project or create internal pressure points. The departure of Jorge Martin adds further intrigue. While Martin's move elsewhere opens the door for Bagnaia to assume leadership, it also removes a rider who had already adapted to the RSGP's nuances. In that sense, Aprilia is trading continuity for star power, a calculated but risky exchange. Equally compelling is how rivals will interpret this move. Ducati Lenovo Team, despite losing a champion, retains immense technical depth. Their ability to quickly recalibrate around emerging talents like Pedro Acosta could soften the impact of Bagnaia's departure more than many expect. Then there is the question of timing. With regulatory changes looming and the championship entering a transitional phase, early adaptation could be decisive. If Bagnaia and Romagnoli establish a strong foundation in pre-season testing, they may gain a critical head start while rivals are still fine-tuning their own projects. Financial and political factors should not be overlooked either. High-profile moves of this magnitude often reflect broader strategic alignments within the sport.